Good morning. We are going to have coffee with Michelle Mynx this morning. I'm Sergia Louise. We are starting these. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. We are starting the series of interviews here on the Lupit Instagram, and today we're going to be interviewing Michelle Mynx, who is a history. Super excited to have her on here. We are going to have some coffee together this morning. So, hello, everybody. I'm Sergia Louise. I'm one of Lupit's brand ambassadors. Hey, what's up, Michelle?
Great to see you.
How are you?
Good.
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
I can. It's so good to see you.
You too. Congratulations on the little one.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, she's not so little anymore. I mean, she's little, but she's almost 2.5, so that's
Oh my
crazy.
gosh.
I
Wow.
know. Isn't that weird? It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, time has gone by so fast. Yeah, let me do a little introduction for you, Michelle, because I'm like super excited to chat with you today. So when Lupit approached me to do these series interviews with different like pioneers of the pole industry and important names in the pole industry, I was super excited because I was like, wow, I get to chat with all my buddies again. It's been so long. I've been stuck in my mom life bubble, and Michelle has her studio, I have my studio, and as I'm sure there's many studio owners on here right now, as you guys know, studio life is insane and wonderful and super rewarding and awesome. So Michelle has her own studio. She is a total pioneer of the pole industry. She has been in this industry for a long time, and it is about time we sit down and get to highlight her and listen to her story. I know a little bit about her story, but I just want to like dive in there and get in there and see, you know, talk about your history, Michelle, in the pole world, as well as just all the cool things that you have going on. Michelle has an annual show that we're going to chat about today. That is a really exciting show for charity. I was super honored to be one of her guests way back in the day, years ago. I don't even know how long ago it was, but it's just wonderful to connect with you again, Michelle. So,
You too.
yes, yeah. Tell us a little bit about you. I mean, give me the juicy history, because I know that's why people are here today. They want to know what pole was like all that time ago
Okay.
and how you got into it.
Yeah, I'll try to make it as short and sweet because it's a literally a decades long story. So Charlie really wants to be in on this video too. He's very Charlie, say hi. Okay. So well, I way back when I needed to make some money. I was graduating from high school and I was working graveyards at Denny's and trying to go to college. And it wasn't, I was working way too many hours and not making enough money and not having enough time to study. And we have a few strip clubs in this area. And I heard that you can make a lot of money cocktail waitressing. I
And
also,
where are you? Tell us where you are. Where is your area?
oh, St. Louis, Missouri. Right in the middle of the country. Yeah. Yep. I'm from St. Louis and I grew up here. I mean, I actually live on the Illinois side of the Mississippi River, but I grew up here and I still live here and I love this city. Um, and I heard that you can make money cocktail waitressing. I also always really love to dance and climb and tumble and backyard tumbling and, making up routines to my favorite songs, that sort of thing. I've also always been a natural flirt. So I thought fun working in a strip club, and I thought I was curious about dancing, but I also was smart enough to know how naive I was and that I really had no idea how the industry worked. All I knew was what I saw on Flashdance, and I was pretty sure that that wasn't accurate, and I was right about that. So I walked in, there were two dancers on stage completely naked and flinging around the pole, and I was shocked because I didn't know that they went completely nude. So, I mean, I literally waited outside to turn 18. Like, I waited outside the door to turn 18 and walk in and fill out my application, which is what I did. And it took them a couple of weeks to call me, but they called me and I interviewed. And after going through a couple different places, I got hired at the first place that I ever worked. And I really watched the dancers closely, and I was so intrigued by it. And I loved all the different aspects of the job, watching them sitting and talking to customers, watching them on stage, seeing how they did private lap dances. And I really took the time to kind of take it in. By time, I mean like a few months to a year, which feels like an eternity when you're 18. And there weren't very many dancers working at this club. It was a very small club. And sometimes they would only have maybe 4 or 5 dancers in the rotation. And they started asking me if I wanted to get on stage. And I did want to get on stage. So, yeah, I got on stage and waited until these guys that I'd gone to grade school, Catholic grade school with, just happened to be in that night. And I thought, if I really want to do this, they were offering me booze and everything too. And I was underage. And I was like, no, if I'm going to do this, I need to know I can do it without drinking. And I need to know that I can do it in front of grade school friends from Catholic. And I did it, and I absolutely loved it, and never looked back, and just really fell in love with dancing and really fell in love with the pole and kind of trying to figure that out. There wasn't much happening on pole at the time. It was really just a lot of spins and ankle hangs. Well, I call them ankle hangs, like laybacks, and dolphins, which I guess a lot of people call inverted crucifixes, just spins and things. And then I remember the first.
Okay, tell me now really quick. What was the pole like? Like, was it a spinning pole? Was it brass? Or was it a 50?
Oh, it was probably a 50 millimeter, but it wasn't a pole. Like, it was a 50 millimeter fence posting that had been painted with neon paint so that it glowed in the black. Yeah, it was
awesome.
Painted. I didn't even think about that for so long, but it looked really cool in the black lights. But yeah, kind of like that matte paint, so it wasn't shiny at all, you know, or slippery at all. It was actually pretty
kind of like powder coated-ish, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, and so that was fun. I kind of got used to that. And then I remember the first dancer I ever saw do a leg hang, and her name was Asti. She went by Asti, like the champagne. And I just thought she was so incredible, because it never occurred to me that you could do a leg hang. Like, you know, now we see how infinitely possible everything is on the pole. There's so many things that we can do. But at the time, I had never really thought about it. I mean, it's a vertical pole. So who would think that we could wrap ourselves around it in such ways and stay up there? So once I saw that, then I really got obsessed and just would lay awake at night trying to figure out different ways of doing things, and like how I could combine things and move from one shape into another shape. And I mean, this is the mid-90s I'm talking. So, you know, there was no pole dancing yet outside of strip clubs. There were no poles that you could buy. YouTube didn't exist. I mean, the internet.
Wow. YouTube didn't exist. That's right.
YouTube did not, none of it did. So we didn't have any videos to go by. I got my hands on one VHS video from Deja Vu Show Club's competitions, pole competitions, because the Deja Vu Corporation started doing pole competitions. And I did do those back in the day at the club, because the club I worked at got bought out by Deja Vu Hustler. And so then they would also bring, you know, feature show girls through, and pole winners, pole dance champions through. And these are strip club competitions, you know. They would bring them through, and I would see what they were doing, and I would see some people on brochures doing different pole tricks. And that's when it really opened up for me even more, and I just got even more and more obsessed. So I would say probably 98 to 2000 was when I really started getting obsessed with it. And then it just kind of went from there. And then my dance partner, Katrina Dow, started working at the club too. And we just kind of fell in love with each other's dance styles. And, you know, anybody who doesn't work at a club, you might not know this, but you don't really have to like dancing or be a good dancer to make money at a strip club. So a lot of people that work in strip clubs don't really care about the dancing. Lots of people do, and some people don't. It's just really kind of doesn't matter that much, and it's really a matter of if you want to do it or not, if it's worth it to you. And it can be really good stage money, yes, but you can absolutely make tons of money without doing stage shows, without doing pole. But we just loved the way each other danced. I could tell that she felt every bit of the music, and I just loved watching her dance. And she was thinking the same thing, and we also liked the same music. So we started dancing together. And on our main stage, we had 3 poles and lots of space. And by now,
oh my gosh, 3 poles. That's awesome.
Yeah, 3 poles on the main stage. And now they were spinning, which, by the way, that was a surprise too. That's a whole other story.
Wait, I know it's a long story, but I want to hear that story. What do you mean it was a surprise? Like you walked in, you were like, oh shoot, these things spin around now?
Yeah. So I finally had gotten into a decent routine and a repertoire of pole tricks that I was doing, and I was really
on static.
Yes. And I would take off and do really big spins, just approach and like raw. And so one day I walked out on stage. No one said anything to me. One day I just walk out on stage and I go to grab the pole and do a big spin, and it started moving, and I just thought the entire world was crumbling. Maybe it was an earthquake. I don't know. I just got down on the floor, put both hands and feet on the floor, and was afraid to touch the pole the rest of that set. And I just did floor work that whole set. And then I had a little bit of time to think about it, and I was terrified. I thought, I've just gotten used to doing this stuff, and now I'm supposed to do it spinning? What evil monster did this to me? And so I just started kind of approaching with the things I was more comfortable doing and trying to do the things that I had been comfortable doing on static and seeing how it worked. And eventually I got into kind of a flow with it, and I would just kind of relax and, let myself go into the spin a little bit, and things turned around. And then now I really love spin pole and static pole. I don't know which one I would pick if I had to. Probably static still, but yeah, so that happened. And then I got.
So how many years was it static at the pole static only before?
Like 6 or 7
Would you
years.
Say 6?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. Holy moly, 6 years in, and you're like, oh, now it's spinning. Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was terrifying. I really did. But then I got used to it. And Katrina and I started dancing together, and probably around 2001 or 2. And had, like I said, the main stage was pretty big with the 3 poles, and we would do things, at the same time on different poles. We would come together and dance together and kind of take each other's clothes off and that sort of thing. It was really fun. But then our satellite stages, the smaller stages, were just 1 pole, and honestly, not hugely bigger than an X stage, like maybe about twice the size of an X stage, and up like a table that the customers could sit at, but not really that much bigger, probably 6 or 7 feet wide rather than 5. But we're still dancing together on this stage, so we had to figure out how to not kill each other. And we both kind of wanted to be on the pole anyway. So we just kind of started intertwining and going around and under each other and shoulder mounting over each other. And it started turning into other things where we would grab each other and hold. And so we started developing this whole big doubles repertoire of doubles tricks that we were getting really used to doing. So it was flowing really well, and we weren't kicking each other or anything like that most of the time. And we had a few times, but for the most part, it went pretty smoothly. And people really started loving what we were doing and telling us that they would love to see it outside of strip clubs. And at first, we just kind of blew it off because that's just crazy talk. Like, this is never going to be outside of a strip club. What are you talking about? And then maybe a couple years later, Platinum Stages came out with their first portable stage pole, which, if you remember, is like the 4x4 box with a 50 millimeter, 7 feet of pole to work with. And we got that together. and we auditioned for this feminist art festival called Venus Envy. And these women actually came to the club to watch us dance to see if they felt like it was going to be appropriate for their art festival or not. And it was kind of really cool because a lot of times Katie and I were trying to do like funny political stuff at the strip club, and it was going over well.
It was getting lost.
Yeah. And so then when these opportunities started coming up, so then we did, this was when George W. was in office, so there was lots of funny material to work with. And so we started kind of doing that kind of stuff. And these women actually really loved what we were doing, so they invited us to be in this art festival. And no one had really ever seen pole dancing outside of strip clubs at all yet. So, but people loved it. Like, we ended up selling out this room and packing this place, and people heard what we were doing and they kept packing in, and the fire department had to like cut it off. And
what year was this?
This was 2005, April 2005. We did the first Venus Envy show, and we ended up getting the venue that we performed at offered us a monthly show of our own, like just our own show to come in and perform. And so we did that for a few months. And we named ourselves Gravity Plays Favorites after a Dresden Dolls song called Gravity. I don't know how many people know the Dresden Dolls anymore, but it's Amanda Palmer's band with Brian Biglione from the middle 2000s. They're amazing. It's like dark cabaret music. It's really fun to dance to. And there was this man who was a fan of ours, and he was filming us and putting us on YouTube. Otherwise, we never would have been on YouTube. We weren't thinking that far yet. We still had digital cameras and like flip phones, you know, at this time.
Right, and now 2005, YouTube's finally coming into the picture.
Yes, exactly. That's when YouTube finally, this is like almost a decade in already.
Someone just said that they were in that room in 2005.
Oh, that's Lindy.
At the Venus Envy.
Yes, I know her.
Lindy.
She's
cool.
Yeah, she does pole, and she also does all kinds of acrobatics, and she does tight wire balancing, and she walks on bottles with bare feet. She's an incredible person right there. Thanks, Lindy. So anyway, awesome. We have a lot of
Lindy
in St. Louis. So I'm so glad that she was there. That's so cool. And then
we got another one. Yep, me too. Will Spencer says that they were there too. Good show.
Wow, that's amazing. I think
that's so cool.
Too. Okay, sorry. I get excited when I see all these people that I love. Awesome. So back to the Dresden Dolls. So we named ourselves that, and this fan put a video of us up on YouTube, and I guess Amanda Palmer saw it somehow. Maybe she thought it was going to be a cover band.
Oh, cool.
Or something like that. And she emailed us saying that it was one of the most beautiful things she'd ever seen, and did we want to open up for them the next time they came to St. Louis.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Right. So this is where the like synchronistic, beautiful magic and manifestations all come in, because of course we said yes. And we did perform with them, and it was incredible. It was to a sold-out show at the pageant, which is like a 5,000 people venue. And that was like the best time I've ever had on stage in my life. And we ended up doing quite a few shows with them, so that was really fun. But also their tour manager, Jen Gapay, is half of Thirsty Girl Productions, who produces the New York Burlesque Festival. And she loved us, and she invited us to be in the New York Burlesque Festival that year. And so, of course, we said yes to that too. And we didn't even know really what burlesque was, aside from like old movies and Betty Boop and Jessica Rabbit and those types of things. But I knew it was always something that I was kind of attracted to, the pin-up-y stuff and the dancing ladies and all of that stuff. And we went there, and it was like we found our people, these weird, glitter encrusted, weirdo, hilarious people, and absolutely fell in love. And it was mutual. And so from there, we started doing tons of burlesque shows. Some Swedish burlesque people saw us and invited us to Sweden, and we ended up going to France for some shows. And it was just really a dream come true. But all of that kind of happened at once. And this was 2005, like I said, into 2006, 2007. In the meantime, Mary Ellen Weissman, who produced the North American Pole Dance Championships, also saw us early on and loved us, and we loved her. And she would come and watch us perform before.
Now, did she have a studio then?
I'm not sure when she opened her studio, but it was, yes, right around that time, I think.
Okay.
And but the Midwest Festival hadn't started happening yet. And she was incredible. And so when that started happening, she was inviting me to do some of those things like judging and teaching workshops there. Also, in the meantime, in 2006, I was in Cheap Tricks, which actually Will, who's here, owns. It's his tattoo shop. It used to be a big, complicated, but someone in that store, because I used to go in there a lot, I mean, I still do, but someone there told me that there was a yoga studio that opened up across the street, and they heard that pole dancing was the next big thing, and they were wanting to offer it, but they didn't know anyone who could teach it. And so I just walked across the street, introduced myself to the owner, and said, I heard you want to offer pole dancing, and I would love to teach it. I'm a pole dancer, and I would love to teach it. And he said, great, you're hired. And so I started teaching pole dance with absolutely no clue what I was doing and nothing to go by, because there were no certifications or anything like that. I had never taken a pole class because they didn't exist. So I just kind of had to figure it out and like build it from, so that was starting in 2006. So all this is happening at once. I'm still working at the club too, which that's tapering off as we're traveling so much with burlesque. And that
was the same club that you started with, right?
No, not exactly, but basically.
Okay. Like it had changed. It had changed.
And then I moved to another club for the same owner, and then they got bought out by Deja Vu. But still, yeah, it's still there. It's the Hustler Club now in Washington Park. And some of my instructors and students work there now. So still continues. And they also sponsored the Extravaganza just recently. So that was really nice. But yeah, all of that was just kind of happening at once. And then I actually started the Extravaganza in 2008 because I had enough students that wanted to showcase. But I didn't open the Mynx Academy until January of 2010. And so that's the timeline. That's the timeline there. And you were in the 5th Extravaganza. You were a headliner at the 5th.
Yeah, well, 2015. Oh, what is that? Then if 2008 was the first one.
It was probably like 2012, I think.
2012? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. With Nadia.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It was so wonderful, you guys. It was just this incredible group of students and teachers and just all walks of life, and putting their art on stage in all forms. And the crowd was it was a beautiful crowd. It was so eclectic and diverse, and I was just so honored to be a part of such a beautiful production. There was so much support. I mean, it was packed. This is 2012. Yeah. So yeah, tell me more about the Extravaganza and how that came about.
Okay, so I guess it was probably I'm not sure. The early 2000s, I started volunteering for the Sexual Assault Victims Unit of Call for Help here in Illinois. And what was your call, and what was your journey to start volunteering there? I was taking a Psychology of Women course in college, and my professor was talking about it. She did a presentation on it one day and said that they were looking for volunteers, and me and I think 2 other people in my class went through the training, decided to do it. And it's a 40-hour training. So it's like pretty intense 2 weeks of training to learn all the things that you need to know about it to volunteer. And so what you do when you volunteer there, well, what I did was they provide emergency and long-term counseling to victims and survivors of sexual assault, rape, incest, all of the horrible things. And so when you're a volunteer, you go through that training and you learn how to talk to people and what to say. But basically the hospital will call for help when they get someone, a victim of rape or sexual assault in the hospital. And all of their clothes are taken for evidence. They go through the rape kit and everything. And so the volunteer is called to meet them at the hospital and just advocate for that person, so that you ask them if it's okay for you to come in. And then you also have a fresh change of comfy clothes for them because their clothes are taken for evidence. You have pamphlets and you have knowledge, and you're also there to make sure that law enforcement and medical staff are treating them with respect and offering them all the things they should be offered, because if they go to a Catholic hospital, they might not be offered Plan B. They might not get tested for different STIs and things like that. So you're there just to make sure that they know someone is there for them and to advocate when needed, and to make sure that they have everything that they need going forward, so that they know all the help that's available to them. Also, I don't know how it is in other states, but ICASA, the Illinois Coalition Against Sexual Assault, a lot of people don't know, but they will cover your medical costs when you go to the hospital if you've been assaulted. A lot of people don't have insurance, or their insurance is through their work and they don't want to claim it because of privacy. And you don't have and actually will cover it. So that's something people should know, because a lot of people avoid going to the hospital for reasons like that. So, but that's what the volunteers do. And I was doing that. And then like I say, a lot of my students really wanted to showcase. They were working so hard and wanted to show what they've been doing. And I thought, with 17, I think we had 17 performers, and we were charging $5 at the door, and there were only about 75 seats. And I just thought, I always believe in paying people, but at the same time, there were so many, and there were students that wanted to showcase. I thought, rather than, because a lot of times we were doing these tiny little burlesque shows where we're just working our for door money, and we're splitting the door. Like, that's how we were doing burlesque shows back then in smaller places. We weren't getting these giant productions. It was do it yourself. We had to go to venues and ask to do shows, and then you divvy up the door money between each other. And I just knew it wasn't going to be very much. So I thought, instead of a person getting like or $20, why don't we just donate all of it to the Sexual Assault Victims Care Unit? And then that way they get some money, we've done something, we get to showcase. And then I started realizing, as others did, like how perfect it really was, to how perfect that intersection is between us taking agency over our own body, celebrating what we can do with our own bodies that we're making, celebrating our sexuality in ways that we want to, and charge of that for ourselves, and then giving the money to people, including ourselves, who have had that away from them at different times in their life. So, and it's just so needed. So it just became the perfect solution to doing that. And then it just became a tradition, and I wanted to do it every year. And it has grown and grown so much. We were in that first little room the first year. The first 5 years we were in that same venue where you performed. And
okay.
Yeah, that was the last year we did that venue, actually, because I don't know if you remember, but Nadia had to perform on that weird stage in the other room because they double booked the venue. And so I was not happy about that. So,
and I also remember it being like just packed, just so packed.
Yeah, exactly. And we didn't do, online sales ahead of time or anything back then.
Oh, that was all at the door.
So the lines were getting really long. So then the next year we moved it to 2720 Cherokee, which was a bigger venue. They fit about, I don't know, remember, like 350, 300 if it's standing room, I think. And then we did the next few years at 2720 Cherokee, and then they closed down, and we had to get a new venue last minute. They closed down like a month before the show. And we had to scramble. That was why in 2018, the Extravaganza was at a church. It was at the Metropolitan Church, which is like a really gay-friendly, amazing church, and they were really hospitable and wonderful to us, and that was a really great venue, so that was really nice. And then in 2019, we moved to the Casa Loma Ballroom, which had kind of been like, it's a really big, beautiful venue here, and I never dreamed in a million years that the Extravaganza would get big enough. But now the Extravaganza is kind of more of like a weekend festival. It's 3 shows total. There's a Friday night show, a Saturday night show, and a Saturday afternoon matinee private for any of our students or instructors who want to perform but can't be out because of their regular.
Oh, wow. That's what a great option to have.
Right. And I can't believe that it's something we need, but it is something that we still need. So we still do that. And that's kind of become this really nice exclusive show. I love that show. And also like we had like about 85 performances. So now it's this huge festival. Now it's people from all over can apply to be in the show. And we get people from all over applying to be in the show. And we just really like to showcase the true diversity and authenticity and creativity that there is out in the pole room world. Pole room. I'm sitting in my pole room. That's why I said that. In the pole world. And it's just really incredible. So I love the way that we choose applications because it's not like a competition in any way whatsoever. It's really whatever shows the most variety, whatever's going to give the audience the most variety. So we showcase all skill levels, all experience levels, all body types, all genders, all ethnicities. We just try to get everybody there, all adult ages. So people who are much older, people who are younger. And it really shows the audience not only how diverse our world really truly is, but also they can see themselves represented, so they can see that pole could be for them. I think a lot of people still have an idea of what pole is and who it's for and what it means. And most of the time they're wrong because it's so much bigger than what anybody could possibly imagine who's not in our world. And so I love that about it, that people come to the show and then they see it. And not only do they love the show, but they say, oh, this is actually something I could do if I wanted to do it. Because who wants to do it? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it seems like such a, what's that?
Oh,
I was gonna say, it seems like such, I think we have like this little weird delay. I keep trying to catch what you're saying. I was gonna say, you know, your journey and how just like Kismet, it all seemed to come together, and like you moving, you know, from the strip club and having that support from, you know, from even the patrons in the strip club to move you into also the arts world, into the burlesque world, into the performance world, into and maintaining that connection all through the way. I think it's so special and amazing, and the fact that then you were bringing in the charity that you were working with, the Extravaganza. Here's my question. It seems like it was all this kismet and this smooth and this transition and all this support from all over the place. Were there times where you were met with adversity? Were there times where people were kind of looking at what you were doing, kind of going, wait, how does this work with this? Or, you know, and like, how do you deal with that? Or do you have any specific moments you can think of where, you know, it seems so organic? And I'm so glad we're getting to hear the whole story, because I think sometimes so many of these different things are put in these different boxes these days, and it's hard for people to integrate them and to see that those can all exist in harmony. So yeah, tell me about, were there moments of, you know, that you came against some walls or some adversity or people who didn't understand what you were doing or what you were trying to do?
I mean, there's always those people out there, I guess, but I just kind of dismiss and ignore them, honestly. They're not really serving me at all. So they don't really have a place in my world. And I don't really have the energy to deal with it. So I just kind of ignore them. And also, I think a big part of it is everything in the pole world. I mean, for me, when I really think about it, nothing was already there. You know, I didn't even have the opportunity to wait for someone to ask me, I mean, to do a show or to do this. It was kind of like they didn't exist. So I just had to make them myself, you know, and sometimes, yeah, when the opportunities that you want, you have to create them yourself. Like, I had no money whatsoever. Oh my God.
That's the quote. That's the quote of this interview right now. Those opportunities, you create them yourself. That's awesome. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, that's the only way sometimes. And you don't always need the things you think you need to make things happen. You don't need a lot of money. Like, I did not have money. You just figure out ways. And when community comes together, there's always been so many people around who also wanted to see these things happen that were willing to help me. I mean, there's so many volunteers that help with the extravaganza. I mean, the person who designs the program, that's volunteering. That's hours that they volunteered to do that, you know? There's just like every single thing that we do, and getting sponsors to help pay for those things, you know? There's just so many things that have to be done, but if you want it bad enough and you have enough people that believe in it too, it'll come together and they'll help you. And yeah, like I said, you just ignore the people that are naysayers. I mean, they're not adding anything to our lives. I don't have time for that, you know? So I would just move on. So I don't really, there's always something that happens that kind of feels catastrophic in the moment. I would say I've had more issues with that stuff than like
planning.
Money was closing 30 days before the extravaganza, you know? But that wasn't naysayers telling me pole dancing is for sinners and blah, blah. That was just circumstances happening, you know? But yeah, I would say if you want something to happen, then do it. Do it yourself. Don't wait for other people to ask you to, you know? I mean, sometimes
there's so many helpers and so many supporters that just focus on them.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the people around me. I've been really, really blessed with the people that I have around me and how passionate and caring they are, and that they want to see the same things happening and they believe in it. So I think as long as you're doing something authentic, that's a positive thing in the world, people feel that and they see it and they want to help you. So it becomes a thing. It's never seemed impossible to me.
Yeah, never. Stay busy doing you. Stay busy doing what you're focused on, what your dreams are. The helpers will show up, and then ain't nobody got time for anybody else at that point, right? There's no time to deal with all the haters at that point. It's such a beautiful, beautiful story. You know, and what about, you know, through the years as you've seen pole change and all the different, you know, things that pole has gone through as far as the ups and downs and the politics in pole and all that kind of stuff. Do you kind of have the same outlook on that as well? Like, you just do your thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really interesting. I would say, I think it's incredible. I have loved watching this industry grow. I mean, I really have gotten to watch it from a tiny little seedling. And if you would have told the 22-year-old who's getting obsessed with pole that, I mean, I did competitions just so I could meet other pole dancers. And when I went to New Orleans to compete against 17 other people, I knew I wasn't going to win. I knew nothing compared to them, but I didn't even care because I was just really excited to see the other things that were possible, and no other way to see that. And except for that VHS tape that I totally wore out. So watching it grow from what it is and seeing all of the different styles. I mean, I literally got to a point where I couldn't think of anything else to do. And I had learned everything I could think of to learn and everything I had seen. And then the world exploded. And now I know that I will never learn everything. No one will ever know about pole. It will never fucking happen. don't try it, don't think it's ever going to end. That's what I love about it, is that I know it's infinite, that I'm going to be continuously, I still learn new things every week, and I'm over 20 years in, and I know that there's no, if anything, it's getting bigger rather than slowing down. And I love seeing all of the different styles. I love that there's all the different styles. I don't understand the, you know, like being against certain styles at all. I love them all. I love seeing it. The politics and stuff, I'm glad to see that it's being talked about and that so many people care about it. That's what I think is great. I mean, sometimes they're uncomfortable, but uncomfortable conversations are important. It's how we evolve. And I look forward to more of that, you know, even when it's hard. That's okay. Life is hard sometimes. That's how you get better. That's how you become a better person. It's how you evolve. It's how the world evolves. So I love that aspect. I think it's great that we have a community that cares enough to get really angry at each other sometimes.
Yeah, totally. It really stretches you in all different ways to kind of see different outlooks and stuff like that. You know, and I know you talked about it a little bit earlier, but like the importance of showcasing the diversity in our community through this extravaganza. You said that there's people who are now able to apply to dance in it from all over the place. So this last extravaganza that you did, it was just this last month, right? Right at the beginning of this month?
Yes. We just finished.
So where did you have people coming from? Where, you know, like what kind of diversity are you seeing in the showcase these days?
I mean, it has been, we've had people from Canada in the past. Probably, I would say 2019 was probably the biggest because it was before the pandemic. And this year we still had 200 people sign up. Okay.
People wanted to get out. People wanted to start dancing again.
I mean, we have tons of people from our Muse family and Chicago, but then we've had people from Utah, our Utah family too, and new people from Utah, and really just all over New York, Florida. Sarah J, Dalton Rhodes, and Ashley Fox were the headliners this year. Five Starter was the host. She was incredible. And I mean, it was just huge, but yeah, we had over 200 people sign up to submit, and then they get the instructions for applying. And then usually about half of the people that sign up to submit actually go forward fully through with submitting. And, you know, it generally has been going higher and higher every year, the numbers of people. But it's important to me that everyone knows it's not about being the best, having the best technique, or being the most advanced pole dancer. It's really about having good stage presence and telling a good story and pulling the audience in and showing how you can do that at any level. Like some of the more beginner level students tell some of the best stories and have some of the best themes. Like we had a Mario Brothers this year that was really hilarious. Someone else made themselves into a human salad. We had Frog Prince, which was actually like a frog and Prince, the musician. So there's all kinds of really amazing and creative things that happen when you give people permission to be as weird as they want to be. You know, a lot of what I say is, you know, if you feel like this isn't going to fit, like a lot of shows have themes, and those are great. I love themed shows, or they're competitions. So that's another thing. The extravaganza doesn't have a theme at all. So it's really about doing the weird thing that you think isn't going to fit into any other show and bringing it to life and letting it be on stage. So, and I think once people know they can do that, they just have a really great time with it, knowing that there aren't any compulsory moves or, you know, certain things they have to be able to do. They're not supposed to live up to anybody else. They're not supposed to be like anyone else except themselves, and celebrate that. So I think that's what people love, and I think people love doing it and they love watching it. So that's
it's so nice for people to have an outlet, like, you know, like if you're listening now, like if you come up with an idea and you're like, oh, there's this character I really want to play, or this show I really want to do, and I'm super inspired to tell this certain story. Where can I do that? Well, now you know there's a place to do it. Travel to see Michelle for the extravaganza. We'll make sure we put Someone says Extravaganza is the most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah.
Jesselyn says, yeah, so we'll make sure that we put, oh shoot, awesome. We'll just make sure that we put your information for people to submit for the next year. What do you see coming up for this next year? What are your, what are you thinking is going to be, new and different and exciting? And what are you looking forward to for the next year of Extravaganza? That'll be in October next year?
It'll probably be the last weekend of September.
September, got it.
Actually, start putting information out in May.
Okay.
So have lots of time to sign up, and then the submissions are usually due in June, so that they know by the end of June, so that they can make travel plans if they're coming in from out of state or something. And so they get lots of advance. But it's going to be number 15. It's going to be the 15th annual Extravaganza. And as far as I know, it's the longest running pole showcase in the world, I think. Definitely the longest running benefit pole showcase. And so that's really exciting. And other than that, I don't know, but I'm really excited to what I'm always completely blown away, and this year was no different. Everyone's just so creative and so incredible. I love watching. And then I love watching them go from having their ideas, because we run them. Anybody who's in the Extravaganza runs their pieces for 2 months before the show, and I set aside certain classes as rehearsal classes. So watching them go from their little seedling idea and then building it and working so hard and doing costuming and everything, and then watching them put it on this big stage with their name and lights behind them now, because the venue's grown so much now that now we're in a venue that, we're having like 500 people. Even with COVID this year, we still had 400 for the public shows. And it's a really nice big stage, and everyone looks amazing up there. And there's amazing photographs thanks to David McWhirter and Alan Crane, Crystal Jones. There's been a few photographers who get really great shots. Ryan Shee filmed the thing, so everyone's going to get their videos edited and beautiful. So that'll be really exciting too. So that'll come out within a few weeks, probably. We'll get to start seeing those. So
that's so
I don't know.
Cool. I love that with the show, and like that's that, like the whole nerdiness of seeing those seedling ideas turn into these full-blown stories, and these with ups and downs and all that. That's for sure, that's the coolest thing to watch people create. And yeah, it's not just a October situation, you show up. It's like, yeah, you start working to put together that show, and people are really proud to put on the stage what they've been working on. I love that. So cool. Yeah. Tell me who this last Extravaganza, who your sponsors were.
Oh, Lupit Pole. Thank you, Lupit, sponsored us.
Woohoo, Lupit.
Nadia Sharif and Rogue Body Works. Thank you, Ben Sponsler. And PSO, Pole Sport Organization. Those were some of our bigger sponsors. And we had quite a few people. Cheap Tricks, who was just here with Will. Yeah, lots of little local places. And we had Naughty God X was a vendor. And then we had some local vendors that are really great, showing their artwork and stuff too. So, and making candles out of recycled bottles, and hair pieces for, they're just beautiful. All kinds of stuff like that. Yeah, everyone was amazing. Also other studios, Muse Pole Fitness. We have a Mynx Muse Fusion, and they're amazing. Rebel Pole Fitness. Two of my instructors, Karen and Bailey, own that. It's in Washington, Missouri. So they were another sponsor, and they had lots of, both of them, Muse and Rebel, had tons of students in the showcase as well. And it was really fun to see that expansion of our family and our community growing like that. So that was exciting too.
Awesome. I'm so just like, it's so awesome to catch up with you. And also just, with the times and the pandemic and how it's been so crazy for studios and shows and all that kind of stuff. It's really cool to see you guys pull out of that and able to continue, your legacy and stuff. So that is super awesome. Yeah. Thanks for chatting about it today.
It's so good to see you. It's so
well, is there anything else? You too. It's super good to see you too, Michelle. I'm, You know, I think so many of us, performers and in the pole world, and of course, I ducked out to have a baby and stuff for a little bit. But now that the show, now that shows are starting to get up and running again, and the studios are opening again, your studio's opening again, my studio is opening again. It's good to see just, polers able to connect again, able to perform, able to do what they love. And it's just, it's really cool to see the extravaganza continue and as strong as it ever was. And yeah, is there anything else that you would like to share with us today?
I don't think so. Just thank you to everyone who supports it. And thanks to all the pole dancers for making this art form continue to grow. Thank you all for doing all of the things you're doing, because every contribution is something, and we all learn from each other and we all get inspired by each other. And that's how, like, this beautiful game of telephone, things keep building and changing and turning into millions of different beautiful things. And I love seeing that. So keep it coming. And keep celebrating
Yes.
each, that's what the
Yes.
pole keeps. So.
Yes, keep celebrating that diversity, keep celebrating bringing people into the pole world, showing them that it's possible, showing them that it is for everybody indeed. So yeah, well, thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on today. You guys, we're going to be doing interviews like this, probably a couple a month, and Michelle is our first. So it's just been beautiful seeing you and having you. And Michelle, let's stay in touch, and everybody oh yes, absolutely. Everybody have a wonderful month. Keep dancing, keep finding your joy in your dance. It does not have to look like anybody else's. It is yours. It is truly yours. Find that movement meditation that is yours and yours only and so unique. Do it for you. I think that a lot of people, you have the beginner students that come in and they say, oh, how do I get better? How do I get better? How do I get better? And I'm like, well, here's how you get better. You enjoy what you're doing, because then you'll keep doing it and then you'll get better. So yeah. The key is really to make it be, pole can be anything. So make pole be that, oh, I love you too, Anakia. Hi, Anakia.
Yeah.
And keep pole being that thing that feeds your soul, and lead by example. Sometimes, there's people out there and you chat about it, people will come to it when they see you doing you. So anyways, I just think Michelle's a great example of that. Love you, Michelle. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Take care, everybody. You're welcome. Bye.